Let's go. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 9 of Talk Dirt to Me. My name is Sandra Graham. Alongside me tonight, as always, I have my lovely boyfriend and co-host, Mike Saunders.
What's up? Today we have, for the first time, 2 guests at once, so bear with us here. We've got the driver of the 24 car, the 2025 track champion, Clayton Celovsky, and he's joined by his teammate, the 03C of Colin Chisamore.
Hey, guys.
Hey there. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks for having us. It's going to be quite fun to actually be on a podcast and do this.
I'm glad you guys are excited. This has been kind of a whirlwind adventure we've been on, so I'm glad that both of you are here. And like we say, like this is the first time with 2 people, so we'll just see how it goes. All right, you guys ready to just jump right in?
Yeah.
Okay. So this
Let's
is
do it.
this is a question for both of you. So Clayton, let's start with you. How did you get started in dirt track racing?
It's with my teammate right here, Colin. He got me into it. We were working together at Nissan, and then after we left, we both kind of left that company, and he shooted me a message saying he was going racing there, and he wanted me to help tow him and be on the crew, and I did that. And then the following year, I got myself a car because I got hooked, and here I am.
So how many years, Colin, did you race before Clayton joined?
I was in my rookie year when I tapped Clayton to help me out. I was driving with the Swinger Motorsports team. I can't thank Tyson and Landon enough, but so I've been going into my 4th season, I do believe it is now, Super.
Okay, awesome. And then how did you get into it, Colin?
So it actually goes back to when I was 15. My father brought me into the pits, and he was helping out the old 8V of Ron Day. I know we're going back quite some time. Basically, when I was young, I was hooked into racing, and it was always a dream to be able to turn some laps at Brockville.
Yeah, absolutely. And then actually, Mike and I were just talking before we started. We were trying to figure out how you guys met. So it was at Nissan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're both technicians. We're both mechanics that work on cars, and yeah.
Awesome. How long did you guys work there together?
Sorry, Clay.
I don't know. What was it? A year or 2? It must have been actually only a year because I only worked there for a year myself.
All right. And then, so Colin, sorry, how long you're going into your 4th season, you said?
Yes, going into my 4th season this year.
Okay. And what kind of car did you start with?
I started out with the old 7L of Justin LaRue, I do believe that car was. Bought that off him. Tons of guys owned it before me. Of course, that car was not going to suffice anymore with that sort of deal. So I decided to buy the old 88C of Curtis Lindsay, which Mark Dagenet had. Winning car, proven to Mark won the only 50-lap feature for the mini stocks at Brockville, to my knowledge, with it. So I figured it'd be a good buy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Clayton, how many seasons have you been at Brockville now?
2. We're going into my 3rd one this next year.
And same car both years?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. All right. So Clayton, I'm going to start out with you with some questions for you. Colin, obviously feel free to jump in at any time. All right, Clayton, let me see here. How does it feel to be crowned the 2025 mini stock champion at the Brockville, Ontario Speedway?
Oh, it definitely feels great. I think that's the pinnacle to where you want to be in racing, and it was we feel great about it.
Mm-hmm, especially your 2nd year. That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, it was definitely unexpected from my front end. Going into the year, I just wanted to win one race. And then halfway through the season, you start looking at the points and be like, oh, wow, and you might have a shot at this. And then the game plan kind of changed, and then here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And what does that championship mean to you personally?
Personally, it means a lot because growing up, I took a lot of sports. Like I did a lot of sports like baseball and hockey, and didn't really win any championships, so it was kind of, yeah, it was, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Meant a lot.
Yeah, no, that's great. And like you kind of mentioned, like halfway through the season, you were starting to look at points. So when did you really first realize that this season could turn into a championship win?
That's a good question. I think we had 8 races. I want to say it was probably around the 5th or 6th race there. That's when I really started, changing the game plan. And when you're points racing, for me anyways, it's I definitely race differently. You're less aggressive, and it's before, when you're the other races, it's either first or you're last. You're going for the win. And, who cares if you finish second or third, in my opinion. But when you're points racing, you can finish second or third, because that obviously helps your case and scenario for points.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look back, was there one race that was really a really big turning point for you?
I mean, that's a good question. Turning point. I think there was one point where I had like a 15-point lead, and that's like, I said, I have a really, really good shot at this,
Mm-hmm.
and Mike gave me pressure all the way down to the end, to the last lap. But it was it was not really a turning. Well, like I said, it was between the 5th or 6th race there when I really started focusing on points racing. And
all right. And then
yeah.
would you say that there was any moments throughout this season that you thought maybe the championship spot would slip away?
A few times there, I got spun out a few times there by different drivers, and every single time I thought, this is the moment where I'm losing it, but then I just made sure I had no flat tires, luckily, and kept on going, and that's how it turned out.
Yeah.
I was saying to Sandra, I'm like, it amazed me with you this year. Like, no matter, like, I remember, like, I had some really good finishes, and then like the first thing, because of the points, I was like, where'd Clay finish? And it's like third. I'm like, how did he get up to third? Because I saw him facing backwards under a caution, and it seemed like no matter what happened to you, you always seemed to work your way back up to the top 5. I believe every race after the first night or second night, you were top 5 every single night.
Well, yeah, I think a part of that was luck, having no tires go down and no actual like mechanical damage. Maybe like slight toe, it was out or something. But then after that, you're actually you're kind of driving upset. So,
right.
When I said I was points racing, but when after I spin out, I'm pretty upset. So I'm kind of going at it again, So
yeah.
But yeah.
And then now that you've just mentioned this, kind of like the unlucky laps that you've had, how important would you say is consistency from week to week out there?
Well, after this year, yeah, I could definitely see, like, if you have a bad race and just it's only an 8 race season, maybe possibly less. Like last year with Matt Bull's championship, there's only 5 races, right? So it's not like a huge sample size per se, huge, season. So if one bad race could definitely throw you out of the mix, because the competition is very even, and so.
Yep. And then how would you actually describe the competition in that mini stock division?
I think it's pretty even per se. I mean, we've had all those different winners this year, right? And the points came down. I don't recall any one driver really just dominating the field per se as well. I mean, a lot of people had bad races, but it doesn't mean they were slow,
Yep.
But yeah, like I think you guys were talking about it in previous podcasts. Like you can go to the track and you have no idea who's really going to win, right? Depends on a bunch of variables.
Yeah. And like I say, like sitting from the stands, you almost don't want the same winner every week. You want it to be a different race. You want to see the different challenges out there. It makes it a lot more interesting to watch.
Yeah, well, for sure. But as a driver, you kind of want to win every race, right? But it's definitely for the fans, and you can also be humble, say that is good for the racing, that, But as a driver, my goal would be, try to win every race. But that's just, that is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Who would you say are your toughest competitors out there with you?
That's a good funny question. I gotta say, for like rivalries and stuff, like I want to say it's Mike is one of them, because we came in at the same year, and luckily I edged him out last year for Rookie of the Year, and it was only because of the rainouts too, because that last race I was even supposed to be there for my sister's wedding and it rained out, but yeah, Mike's definitely one of them. Colin, a teammate, he's one person I'd always, is always want to compete against. Same with Jared, and I had a little tiff with me and Hayden this year. I find, we had that going on, which was very interesting. I know a few things were brought up saying that he was potentially the best driver in our series. I want to say I disagree. For a few reasons. Yeah.
But I can chime in on that. Sorry, Mike, that competition side of things. Like Clayton was saying, this year, everybody was just so evenly matched. I mean, you had guys who had brand new cars they just built. You've had guys that have been racing for almost 20 years out there. And just seeing from where the class was 15 years ago to where it is now, speeds have picked up quite a few seconds in the mini stock class. And it's just so much more of I don't want to say an even playing field, but it's definitely more competitive than it was back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had Tim Baltz on here last week, and he was kind of explaining to like how he's watched it evolve over the years, and it's crazy now looking at what the cars are like now versus what, like you say, what they were 15 years ago.
And that's another thing too I want to bring up too, is just like the money that people put into their cars. Like I know where in the other podcasts is we're all big one family in the mini stocks. I think from what I've seen is that our pits have kind of split into two, which kind of sucks. And I would say that probably sucks for Mike too, because I think when we got into it, me and Mike, the pits were all together, and then out of our luck, when we come in, they split right when we come in, so. But anyways, it seems like one side of the pits, like we might not spend as much money as the other side of the pits, if that makes sense, but we try to make it work, and we always give a helping hand too, and have fun.
I think sometimes the physical parking of where we do makes it seem like there's a bigger divide than there is for the way I see it anyways. Like I know that I don't have there's not a single driver out there that I have like an actual problem with or all. Of course, there's like good competition. Like I was chasing you down and stuff like that, but like I've never once had any like ill will towards you or anything.
100%.
Yeah. And I think
I'd like to say I really don't have any ill against anybody too. I know me and Hayden kind of got into it a bit this year, but I don't want to say I don't have any ill against anybody else either. But there's other drivers on, in the pits that I'm not going to say any names, but it is there.
Yeah. And I think too, like I know like where we park, we kind of got shoved there one night. And like I said this, I think of a podcast before, but just even the way like my car has bump stops in it, so I don't turn right too far and break any axles. And for me, backing out of those spots when there's cars lined up behind you where we used to park there, right at the kind of like where you enter the track, it's very difficult for me to make a 19-point turn there to get turned around. And we got put there one night and I backed straight up, and like like physically it's so much easier parking there. But I know that I know some guys I think thought that guys moved for the wrong reasons, and hopefully we clear that up, that has nothing to do with why we physically moved in the pits. I know you're saying that you see that there's like a imaginary divide there, but I don't think there was any physical moving for any reasons other than just convenience.
No, and you explained that to me at one point too, Mike. And I asked you, I'm like, why are you guys parking all the way down at let's call it I think it's the east end of the pits where most of the older modified guys are, versus our little corner that we had. And when you explained to me with the bump stops and the axles, being we have the welded diffs, I have broken axles in the driveway before.
Yeah, me too.
And it makes perfect sense. Like it's ease of being able to come in, get your flat tire changed or a bumper or fender ripped off or get whatever cleared out of the way. so you can get back to the track in the most efficient fashion. I know we're not NASCAR and we do get the courtesy laps from the track, but when you're as a driver in the pits, and I've had a couple flat tires I've had tire changes that have been 25 seconds. I've had tire changes that took a minute and 30. And honestly, pit selection, it can matter in that point. It could be the difference of going a lap down while they're coming to green, going into turn one, and you're trying to come out of the pits and you've got to wait for the field to go by. You lose all that position, you go a lap down, it can end your race potential.
Yeah. And like, not only that, but like you said it perfectly with like, with the front wheel drive cars and the welded diffs, just turning is like, and I know because of where we were parking, when they say they call mini stocks line up for your heats or whatever, and there's a lineup of sportsmen behind us and you're trying to jimmy out of there, we can't see behind us. You got people pointing, telling you, like, you know what I mean? Like getting turned around without all that is hard enough, let alone when there's a lineup of 20 cars behind you. So like I said, that's kind of why I only speak for myself. That's kind of why we did it. And, but yeah, I just wanted to say that, make it official that it was for no other reason.
But what about like the money side of things? I brought up, like, you know, how there's that imaginary line. I'm not saying, you know, I understand what you're saying. I've heard other things. I don't want to bring them up. I've heard other things too. But like, what about the money side of things? Because it does seem like you guys have really good looking cars down there. You know what I mean? It seems it just the physical on the outside. You know, they look like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I can say, like, personally, the car that actually both cars, when I bought my last car, it came wrapped the way it is and it looks so nice. I didn't want to change the number. I didn't do anything. Like, I'm not a Dale Jr. fan, and I drove 88 all year just because the car looked the way it did. And I know when I bought that car from Brandon, originally I wasn't actually supposed to buy it. I was just supposed to drive it for him because he was just taking a year off. So he had kind of told me, this is what I do to it every year to get it ready. And I followed his steps. I replaced the sheet metal. I like did stuff, like everything to make it, because it was still Brandon's car and I didn't want to go out there with his car looking like a enduro car. So I did put a lot of time and effort into that to make the car look the way it has been looking the years prior. And like I said, I got a good buddy of mine that does wraps. And like I said, like it took a lot more effort than money for the body anyways. Like I said, I got it looking so nice. I used the same bumper Brandon had, the same side skirts, all that stuff. I just reused it. But I know the car does look good and I know how it may appear. And but I don't know what, I don't think that
really what I'm saying though is just like I'm trying to say there kind of is a divide. I want to say that's all I'm trying to say. If I had the money, hell, I probably would put it in too. You know what I mean? I'm not saying spending money on your car is a bad thing. I think that's competition. You're always going to have that, you know. I'm just saying that it does seem like there's a divide. You know, not like when I first watched Chizzy in the first season, it was the mini stock corner. You know, it seemed like everybody was a really nice family. I've heard it from multiple people too. It just seemed like there was definitely tension on both sides of the pits.
Sure. And like that may be absolutely true. I could just speak for myself here because I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but I don't personally have a problem with anyone at either end of the pits.
And I think too, like Mike he's the first one to make a point and go down to the other end of the pits and say hi, or if we need something, or if something was dropped or whatever, like he's the first one to cruise down there. And I will say, like, when it comes to cars and money and all of this stuff, like a lot of it is a lot of time over money. And like, even we're going to talk about Mike's car design. Like I spent, I don't even know, 2 months talking to our wrap guy, emailing him, like figuring out like the most cost effective way to do this. I wash it, I scrub it. Like, I get, you know, there is that conversation of the divides with money, but I don't know if it's as truthful as some say, I guess.
Now, when it comes to money, in my perspective, honestly, I go back to a comment that Tyson Slinger made on Facebook a few months ago when this whole K-swap thing, driver council thing went on with the mini stock group. And Tyson said it the best, I honestly think. You could spend $500 on your car, $5,000, $50,000. It doesn't matter. In the end, it's all on, how do I put it? Spending time in the garage is honestly what wins championships and wins races.
Correct.
If you're taking the time, taking the tires off on a Tuesday night, washing them down, grinding them up, wrapping them so you don't get dirt on them before race day, X, Y, Z, putting the work into the body itself to make it look good. And I'm going to say, has a very, very sharp looking car. Honestly, it's one of, if not the best looking mini stock in that pit area or Eastern Ontario that I can say. But honestly, when it gets down to it, they all wreck the same. You hit the wall, you get bumped in the wall by a buddy, and you got a $500 car. Honestly, I'd just be like, okay, cool. In my situation, I'm like, all right, I'll throw a new piece of tin on the door and we'll be good to go. Fix the suspension, whatever's broken, and have fun. But you got guys who are putting a little more money into their car, and it honestly, the feelings can get hurt more. However, I really don't know how to say it, but look at what Clayton did this year as a champion. I know Clayton didn't have a lot of money into his car. We both work. Clayton has a kid. I'm in Picton myself, which is an hour and a half away from the track. It's hard to put time in on the cars, but guys who have that time and have that capital or whatever it may be to put in their cars to take pride in their machine, good for them. That's awesome. I love that you're putting that time and effort into a passion is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. And like you said part of it perfectly, but like my tire prep operation is like a 6-day thing. Like I'm out there Monday night, like scrubbing them with a dish brush. And like, I know like, and for me, it's more of a mental thing. Like if there's something that I can do that I think other guys aren't doing, and even if it's not giving me an edge, it's giving me an edge in my helmet, if that makes sense. I know I did every single step I could do and there's nothing else I could have done. So, and like, don't get like when I drive home I'm like you, I'm an hour and a half away. I'm driving home in the middle of the night. I stop, unload the car, wash it at a car wash in Smith Falls on the way home. Like I don't, like, and if other guys don't want to do that, I don't blame them. Like I think I have probably a little OCD about that car, but it's kind of how I am with all my stuff. I just try to go extreme almost with it so that, like I said, I don't walk through the pits. And like I said, I'm not doing it. Like I didn't do that. If you're trying to make it like, I don't know how to say this, but like, I don't think that by me getting my buddy to paint the car and have it wrapped and whatever it did, that wasn't out of to make anyone else's car look bad. That's just what, and I'm not saying like me, I know Clay, you're talking about not just me, like there's other guys too with really sharp stuff, and some guys have lots of money in them. But again, I don't think that's the way it was meant to be, or to make a divide, or to think anyone's better than anyone or anything like that.
No, but I think Colin just said it the same. Like, no matter how much a car is, they all wreck the same. So you can turn around and spend 20 grand on a car, blow a motor the following week. And if you don't have a spare motor, well, then that $20,000 car is sitting.
Yeah.
So they all wreck the same, no matter how much a car is worth.
Yeah, exactly. You hit that turn 4 wall, I can tell you from experience, it does not move and it will break stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly.
You're going to say something there, Clay?
Yeah, I just think you could also like put money into a car, and and that could help pass people. But I think driving skill is also part of it.
Oh, for sure, that's a huge part of it. And I find just even like getting to know the car, like at this, I'm only talking for myself here.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Like in my first year with the same car, the transmission wasn't welded. But hell, first year I didn't know. I just thought that's how they ran. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was welded at the point too, and then at the end of the year, I found out it wasn't welded, and geez, what a huge difference it made.
For sure.
So just get to know your car 100%. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like people ask you, what can you do to set it up? I just think that it helps set it up. Everybody has their own driving styles. You almost got to be in one with your car. You almost got to imagine what everything is happening in your car, in your head, and go off that.
Yeah, I'm the first one to admit I don't know anything about setting up cars. Like I've said this before, but like I message every week Brandon or, like even like, or Jared or someone that doesn't even have that, there's never been in the car or whatever. Like, why is it doing this? Like, why, when I go in the corner, does my car not do this? Or like, and I just listen to other people because like they've been doing it a long time and I don't know anything. So whatever they say is going to be better than what I dream up. So
yeah, it's just, I find that you get multiple people telling you multiple different things. So I find it's definitely good to just try things out. Not try to do too much, like so many things all at once, because you could be hurting yourself. You don't know if one thing helped you, another thing hurt you. You know what I mean?
All right, back to my little list here. Last year, Clayton, you had quite the flip. Can you talk me through that? Was it a heat or a feature, first of all?
It was a feature. I think it was one of the series races, maybe the first series race that the Brockville and Cornwall had there.
Okay. And do you want to walk us through what happened that night?
Sure. It was definitely not on purpose. It was definitely unexpected. You know, me watching, I bought this car off Tyson Singer. I watched him race it for a whole year, and I would say, oh, that car is not flippable. You know what I mean? It'll just spin out, and next thing you know, I'm upside down, and yeah.
Yeah. And any injuries, or you walked away okay?
No, yeah, I was totally not hurt at all. I've had wrecks that actually did hurt, but that one did not hurt it, not one bit.
Good.
Definitely hurt the car though. A bunch of people said that I was done for the season, and that was really awesome. A bunch of my buddies helped me out, and Colin is one of them, you know, and Tyson, the guy who sold me the car, and Tyson's the one who I kind of really, me and him got into it. That's how I rolled. We were both kind of trying to get a good run on the restart, but we all banded together and got my car fixed, and I was out there for the next race, and I think I got a top 5 the next race too.
Wow, so you didn't even miss a week.
No.
Everything's fixable.
Yeah,
that's what was awesome though. A bunch of people said I was done for the year, and if it wasn't for, you know, family and friends get me back out there, but we did it, you know. So.
Oh, that's great. And then what would you say is your biggest lesson you learned this past season?
Biggest lesson I learned was probably definitely to have some patience at some points. You know, we were racing there at Cornwall near the end of the season, and I was in the B main, and I knew I had a really fast car. I was trying to push this guy down the front stretch just to get a draft, just to get going on the restart, and it lifted up the guy's rear end, and he spun out, and I got a black flag for that. And I was just sitting in the pits watching the rest of the race, and like, wow, if I just was a bit more patient, you know, I easily could have been in the show and watching the feature. I feel like I could have been up there in the front, like in the top half of the field anyways, and racing it out. And
Mm-hmm. And then how would you say you've grown as a driver in the past 2 seasons?
I definitely just learning how the cars work. New friendships gained, but as a driver per se, I don't think much has changed.
Well, you're going to work on your patience. You just said that, right?
Well, that was good. I didn't learn it till the end of the season, right? So
True.
but like points racing versus, you know, just going for the win, that's different too.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about your little guy, Calvin. So how is it, first of all, because you bring him to most races, correct?
Oh, yeah, he's there.
Yeah, so how is it kind of managing your time when you're at the track, when you've got Calvin there and your car needs work and there's people all around, and how are those nights?
That's just having good family and friends. You know, they always support me, and we make it work. Usually there's other kids there that he gets to play with. He's pretty responsible. I always have a close eye or make sure someone has an eye on him when I'm out there. And yeah, we just make it work. He loves it there.
And he does the go-karting there, correct?
Yeah, he does that usually every Wednesday as well at the Brockville Speedway.
Okay, can you explain kind of how that program works to me?
Yeah, so it happens every Wednesday. He has the one cart there. He's in his age group, and yeah, it's just like us. You know, they have hot laps, heats, features. Yeah, they do all that. I pretty much working on the go-kart, and he's out there playing with all the other kids that are around the track. He's just out there having fun playing, and
does it go?
Yeah, he actually won the championship there, not this last year, but 2 years ago. So that was kind of cool to do too. And it was just, yeah. And him winning his first race, that was very, very cool to see. He was very emotional about that too. And it's just like any type of racing, you know, you got to put the hard work in and time. And
yeah. How many years has he been doing it?
I think 3 years now, I think. So he'll be going into his 4th year, but we're looking at more doing a partial schedule this year, maybe splitting up some time with other kids, you know, giving them a shot to try it out. And because he likes racing, but it gets a lot for him too. So he doesn't want me to get rid of the kart. He still wants to do it, but I think if we do like a partial schedule, would be a good thing. And showing other kids the ropes would be a good opportunity for them too. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does it go by age group, or how do they divvy all of them up?
Yeah, it does go by age group. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And do they run every Wednesday, or is it every second Wednesday?
Oh, it is every Wednesday. I think they have like a week off or some holiday there. And then there is usually rainouts too in between there. And the Trickies took over the track and they run it really well. They were a really good program. Yeah.
Sounds like a full commitment.
Yeah, we're not there as late as we are on Saturdays. I think we usually show up there around, I want to say we're there at like 4 or 5 o'clock, and then we're out of there by 9:30. Okay. So
not too bad then.
But then you get to watch you're in the infield, so you get to watch all the races. Like the adult class, I find is really interesting to watch. Those guys have good emotion out there too. They're just like us. They put their time and effort into it. So
I have to go and watch it on a Wednesday, because I see the pictures of it all the time, but I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, and I think it's cool as a driver too. Like you're on the infield, you can see the outside track. It's usually still all it's either black or it's all broken in. Like Paul did some work to it or something, and it's just cool to see that. And just like it's just you just take it in, right? Like, hey, I race here, it's just it's like almost like an empty track on the outside, right? Because everybody's on the infield, so you can like walk the track if you want while the go-karts are happening. And
sounds like a really nice night. All right, we're going to jump over to some Facebook questions for both of you. So, Clayton from Jared, he wants to know, who is the T-Man?
Oh, T-Man, eh? Oh, God. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we went to the Cornwall race for, what was it, Chizzy? It was
the Super Dirt Car Series was there, and T-Man is actually on Dirt Vision from that.
Yeah, it was on Dirt Vision. Oh my God, yeah, we were a bunch of guys were there. I know, you and Mike were there, and I just we were in the stands watching the races, and we were just having beer after beer, and then eventually the waiter just brought the whole case over, and the next thing you know, the case was on my head, and then I started doing the wave, trying to get the whole crowd to do the wave, and
I think Mike has a pretty sweet video of you.
I still have it, but I do remember that.
I thought it was funny. Like the next few days, you made a comment saying, like, this guy won a mini stock feature at Brockville.
That was funny.
Yeah, that just shows we're just a bunch of fucking rednecks.
All right, Colin from Jared. Why do they call you Chizzy?
So Chizzy came in the nickname back when I was crewing for Jared. Back in 2021, we had Colin Tracy hanging out with us as well in the pits. Jared was using his enclosed trailer, and just to save the confusion, because whenever someone would say Colin Tracy and I both look up like, what do you need? So Taylor, Jared's wife, actually said, we're just calling it Chizzy from now on to save the confusion. So that's kind of where that came from.
Yeah, perfect. Nice and easy.
I kind of thought it was on your birth certificate because you've been Chizzy since I met you, but now I know where it came from anyway.
All right, Colin from Clayton. My dad wants to know if you're free Tuesday afternoon. He got a Lazy Boy couch and he's looking for some help.
Tuesday afternoon, I'll be at work.
Sorry, Clayton.
All right, I'll let him know. You wanted me to ask?
This question is actually for both of you, so I don't know who wants to answer first. Maybe Clayton will go with you. Who is your favorite person to have in the pits, and why is it Matt Nichols?
Oh, Matt's awesome. Yeah, he's always there, very supportive, and you're always, if you're ever down, then he gets you going again.
I'm sure you can guess where that question came from.
Yeah, Matt sent me a message. He's like, I've got a question for both of them. Colin, yeah, do you want to go ahead and answer that one?
Yeah, I can say with Matt's been nothing but a godsend for sure. Of course, with Clayton getting into the mini stock, and as a driver, I kind of went through what Jared did in losing a crew chief. And I messaged my buddy Matt. I knew him through the car scene and through his girlfriend Amanda. And I shot him a message and I said, dude, you want to come out to the track? Like, just see what it's like. He wasn't even sure if he was going to like it. But like Clayton said, having him there for the help, for anything you need. You ask him, he's always there. There was actually, when we were in Cornwall, where Clayton got the black flag, I was having trouble in the heat race. I made a really bad setup adjustment for Cornwall. Ended up rolling off like 8th or 9th for the B main. And I said to Matt, we're not getting in. They're taking top 5. He looked at me and he said, dude, go out there and drive. And B mains usually work like this. You have cars with mechanical failures, getting in tangles and getting in wrecks and causing their night to end. And luckily, I was able to wheel the car up to 4th place. And he looked at me after that B main and he said, dude, you're in the show. What did I tell you? And just to have somebody in the pits give you that vote of confidence and to so you can have the confidence in the car and yourself, there's nothing like it.
It makes a very, very big difference for sure. And when did you guys meet Matt? Like, is this his first season with you guys?
Yeah, this was Matt's first season with us. Of course, before in my first year, I had Clayton kind of step into the crew chief role before I let him test my car at the track rental that we did. And of course, now he's hooked. Last year, we kind of went without. And like I said with Matt, when I was younger, I was in the car scene, had my old Chevy Cobalt, all hooked out, young and dumb things that I did. But nonetheless, of course, Amanda got with Matt. I'm like, hey, Matt's probably a car guy. Let's see if he'll come out and help out. And luckily, it all worked out. And I love that boy.
I've talked to Matt a few times. He's a really nice guy. He even offered to help us with the technical side of doing this. He said he's quite familiar with it, and always nice to me when I talk to him at the track. I like Matt quite a bit. Yeah,
I play hockey with him every Sunday morning too, and he's pretty good at that sport. And he just needs to stay out of the penalty box.
All right, Colin, I'm going to put you in the hot seat for a little bit. So new car this year. How was kind of adjusting to that?
So to start out, and Curtis Lindsay warned me about this, the car was set up extremely, extremely loose. Of course, with my knowledge of how to set up the cars, with the help I've got from Jamie LaRock, Jared, all the guys in the pits with ideas on things to try, I was finally able to get it dialed in to where I could actually drive it, probably the second or third race of the season. And unfortunately, I was just pushing the car too hard in the heat race, racing with Tyson Slinger. We were just driving like animals. It was fun. Ian Reed, we were 3 wide. I was jumping off the backstretch to pass people and coming off the floor. I tapped the wall with the right side and bent the rear end. And at that point, hitting the wall wasn't really what caused the back injury. I think it was just a lack of stretching, I guess, in the course. Getting into my late 20s, coming into my early 30s, you got to start taking care of your body more. And of course, I had that back injury that took me out of the car for a good month. I put John LaMarche in it for some good feedback. Got the subframe changed, made some upgrades to it while I was there, of course, like everybody does. You're sitting there, you're like, oh, well, I'm not just changing the subframe, changing everything else. And then the car just did not handle the way I wanted it to after we did that. I was like back to square one, and I talked to the old owner of the car before, Curtis, Mark Dagenet, and I said, dude, what do I got to do? Like, tell me what your old setup was. And he gave me that information, and the car was just a complete rocket at that point. By the end of the year, like finishing second in the heat race at Fall Nationals, redrawing third, fell back to, I think, 5th or 6th, and then blew the right front. Like that, it's been a wild ride to get the car to where it is now. And I'm really looking forward to putting a stronger motor under the hood for next year and actually seeing how it works now with about 20 or 30 more horsepower.
Yeah, that car really improved from the start of the year to the end of the year.
Oh, 100%. And it's all adapting my driving style really into getting the car to where I wanted. Of course, with it being loose, you can drive a loose car, but you can't drive it too hard or you're spinning out. And I did do that at Cornwall this year, spun out on my own for the first time. But nonetheless, it's having confidence in the car as well once you get there. Once you get the setup and the balance right on the car and you get the tire size right, start playing with the pressures, your confidence builds in it. You know you can say, hey, I'm going into turn 1 this time. in a feature race, racing for fifth or sixth, you've got Clayton on your inside. It's like, okay, let's go. Let's see what this thing can do. And just having that confidence really changes your driving ability and the performance of the car, the performance of the driver, and everything.
I've found one of the most important things that made me a better driver towards the end of the year is you have to trust the car that's underneath you. If you don't trust it, it's not going to work right. And like I said, but towards the end of the year, I started trusting the car, and same as you, it like was a whole different car for me.
Well, nearly at the end of the year, there was people I couldn't trust, and the way to do it is just hopefully you get away from them as soon as possible.
Oh yeah, sorry, I meant like trusting the car that you're driving. Like if you don't trust your car, it's like I know when I
you really shouldn't be out there then if you don't trust your own car.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can say, knowing that you're going to be able to fire your car off into turn one at 120, 130 kilometer an hour, or even more some nights, you want to know that car is going to turn and not go off the end of the bank, because Ryan Brown, unfortunately, has shown us all what happened in that situation. Thank God Ryan was able to walk away from those nasty flips. But just knowing, you have to know your car is going to stick, and you have to know that all your front end components are tight, like your ball joints, your tie rods, strut mounts. Know that welds in the front end or the back end are going to hold. Know that there's a lot that goes into a car to be able to trust it. And once you get it there, you're laughing.
Yeah, I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier of just like the work that goes in during the week to make sure that everything is right. There's a lot of things that, like, if you just shut the trailer and show up next week with it and you don't go over everything, that's sometimes the difference between finishing or not finishing.
Yeah, exactly. And you see quite a bit. There is, like I say, the field is pretty even. And the discrepancy is actually between the top five and the back markers is actually pretty huge. You have guys that don't have the time to or the capital to put into their car. And they, like you said, they just roll it on the trailer, maybe throw some tires, wash it, and show up to the track, check the tire pressures, and go out. And you see them having all kinds of mechanical issues and whatnot, getting into tangles. And then you see the guys, like you said, like you, Mike, like I'm going to be more this season, putting that time into the car, going over it, and making sure that everything is right in that sense. Because you don't want a ball joint to snap going into turn one. It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And then, Colin, you bounced around from track to track quite a bit this year. So you went to Brighton, Mohawk, and Cornwall, I believe, the 3 tracks.
Yep. And, of course, running Brockville, I did 4 tracks in the span of a month and a half.
Wow, that's busy.
So, yeah, it was quite busy. I've got to start off by thanking my wife, Emma, for allowing me to do that. There were a couple weekends where Brockville Final Points night happened, and I said to my wife, I was out of the car for a month and a bit with a back injury. I was feeling fine, and I said to her, okay, let's go try Can-Am this following Saturday, because they have the 2-day September show they do. And that rained out, so I got on Facebook, and I sent Clayton a message. I said, I'm coming to get the car. He's like, where the hell are you going? It's like, there's no tracks running. I said, well, there's Brighton. So I went from Belleville, and at the time I had U-Haul, or I was using U-Haul, and I went in, got the trailer, hooked up, drove the hour and 20 minutes to Clayton's, loaded the car up, turned around and went back to Brighton another hour and 30 minutes. And luckily, Brighton's only 25 minutes ahead. That was quite a show at Brighton, to say the least. I went from 13th to, I think it was 6th. And Clayton went from 17th to 7th. We both ran the fastest lap down there. That was really, really fun. After that, I think we had Mohawk. We had a week off after Brighton. Then it was the Friday night, and Mohawk had their end of season event. And Jonathan Caron Lacoste messaged me, and he said, you want to come down to... I said, well, Curtis Lindsay ran at Mohawk. I messaged Curtis, got a baseline set up for it, and put the tiny tires on the car. Felt so weird with that. Shifting into third gear as well, and that track was really interesting to say the least. But it's fast, and going back from Mohawk back to Brighton for Applefest, unfortunately, some bad luck there. But nonetheless, you move on from that. The Fall Nationals, where everything turned around. Second in the heat, racing with Travis Fox Connor for the win there, and redrawing third with my little buddy Colton. Just everything was so much fun to be able to do the 4 tracks. And I can say, going from track to track to track to track, just my driving style and to be able to learn what the car does at each track. You can kind of take from Mohawk, like the way you pitch it into the corner, I guess is the best way to put it, and say, okay, Brockville, shorter track, more narrow, but I had in my head after Mohawk, I'm going to try something in Brockville with my driving, and at Fall Nationals, it worked.
That's awesome. And it is kind of different to racing for points versus just going out and racing for fun.
Yeah, exactly. Racing for fun, honestly, I would much rather do that any day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. All right. What else do I have here for you? Do you share your setup notes or driver feedback kind of amongst your team from week to week?
The 4-car team, so of course myself and Clayton were the Pine Tree OGs, as we say. Jared Galway, unfortunately, his former team was disbanded, and I said to Jared, look, you're a heck of a driver. You're one of my best friends, man. Come over to Pine Tree. Then John LaMarche reached out and he said, I need some help here, boys. Can I join the team? Going back to your question, though, there's a lot of experience on our team with Jared and John, to say the least. Jared, of course, having a track championship. John LaMarche has been in it since the Ron Day days back 15 years ago. So those guys really know what to change when and how to change it, of course. And I can take that information from Jared and John and the knowledge that I already have, and we can apply it to Clayton's car, for example, or vice versa. Like Clayton figures something out, he'll come to me in the pits, he'll be like, hey man, try changing this, see what it does, and it works. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, there's a lot of shared notes and a lot of shared information, but when it gets down to it, when you're out on that track, if I'm door to door with Clayton or door to door with Mike, I don't want to say there's no, because there's a lot of respect between everybody in the mini stock class where you don't want to be beating and banging into each other. But when it gets down to it, rubbing's racing in my eyes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then how important is it to trust your teammates especially when you're racing in the same class?
The trust, honestly, is pretty much right from the get-go. Knowing that you have a teammate, excuse me, is huge. Because if you look at Clayton's championship thing, and I knew we were going to get to this point, there was a heat race where...
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. Where Clayton and I started on the front row. I said to Clayton, okay, you're on the inside. You go. I'll give you the top going into one. I held up the field. I didn't have a mirror. I don't even know how I did it, but I was able to hold off five guys in behind me, including you, Mike.
Yeah.
Knowing that Clayton was going for the championship at that point, I said to him, like, you need the points. I'm going to do everything in my power to hold these guys up and give them a hard time so you can go for it. So that heat race paid out 5 points to Clayton, 3 to me, and I was out of the picture. It didn't matter. And then it paid 1 to you. So that 4-point split in that heat race, in my opinion, is what won Clayton the championship. Because looking back now at the final point standings, 4 points is what the cut was.
Yeah.
So knowing you have the teammate out there, and I know Clayton would do the same for me if I was in his shoes and vice versa. But knowing that you potentially could have the help, even under caution, I've had a couple times where I had a little bit of damage going on, and I'd give a hand signal to Clayton if I knew he was directly behind me to pull up to my door. I'd see if I'd point to wherever the damage was. He'd come up to where the damage was and give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. 90% of the time it's thumbs up. And then at least you know, hey, okay, there's not a fender rubbing into the tire or a bumper hanging off or what may be. So I kind of contradict what I said when you don't really have teammates out there, but it's nice knowing that you have the help if you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. It does help for sure. And then what would, like, you are a newlywed. You got married this spring, right? Before race season started.
Yep, the weekend before Tuscany.
All right. So besides that, because that's a pretty big highlight, what is your other highlight of 2025?
The highlight of 2025. That's a hard one to think, but honestly, I want to go back to the Fall Nationals. It was the best race of the year for me. Second in the heat race, timed really well in the hot laps, got a good pill draw, got a good redraw. Even though that right front tire blew and I was unable to get it changed because of other circumstances in the pits, I got to say Fall Nationals was definitely my highlight racing wise.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And what else? First of all, how's Emma? I meant to ask you that earlier.
She's really good. Of course, back at Christmas time, we both got that bit of a super flu that's going around, but we got through that and everything's going great with her. Still teaching. Of course, being able to help me and support with the racing is immensely huge and hard for her, I know, but I'm just so thankful that she has that. I wouldn't say the same level of passion I do for racing, but coming in from somebody who hasn't really been involved in it before, I know she's watched it Brighton growing up and everything like that, and then getting back into it and actually being in the pit side and being able to integrate into the mini stock so well. I have nothing but praise to say to her, and I cannot thank her enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
at all.
It does take a lot of patience for sure to manage all you guys out there, I will say.
Yeah, you would know as a driver's girlfriend.
Yeah. Good. I am glad she's good. And then what are your goals going into 2026?
Honestly, just finish every race. I'm putting the stronger motor in the car. The one that I had back in 2024, I want to say it was, where I was able to pick up some heat wins and battle up at the front, led some laps and some futures with it. So I'm excited to put that engine back in it with a couple more upgrades and everything. I don't really want to share too much of what I'm doing. Of course, no racer wants to.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, just finishing every race, getting the car handling better, gaining the confidence as a driver more, and improving my racecraft. Of course, I'm doing a lot of the iRacing like Clayton does as well. I find that actually really does help with the racecraft and everything, and just to have a good, fun, clean season.
Perfect. Those are awesome goals. What about you, Clayton? What are your goals for this coming season?
Definitely just go racing.
Mm-hmm. Keep it light, keep it fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just go racing.
Perfect. Well, that is all I have for both of you. Do you guys have anything that you want to chat about or say, or?
Yeah, I'd like to maybe discuss maybe a bit of the rules that I know this is my opportunity to maybe say something on it.
That's why we have this, so you can voice your opinion.
I know it might not be definitely agreed by many, but it's just my opinion. I'll still be at the track, take it or leave it. I won't, I'm still out there to have fun. Me and you, Mike, and Colin, we've been discussing. We've had discussions about this. I definitely had time to think about it, and to me, I'm just set on right now that we have rules in our rule book that it's unrealistic and just won't be teched.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So why do we even have those rules? Those rules will never be even checked. So what's the point of even having them?
Now that's where this new development this season has really come into play. And I know Mike has quite a bit behind it as well. He actually was able to have a meeting with the track owner at his house. And there were 6 guys that were nominated by the Brockville drivers. Myself.
Yeah, the committee,
Jamie
right?
Rock, yeah, the committee, Tyson, Slinger, Matt Bond, Terry McClelland, and Matt Bowl. Having those guys who have been in it for a while, I know, like I said myself, I've seen the class evolve. I may not necessarily know everything about a car, but just to have eyes on each end of the pits, for me personally, if somebody's taken their motor and they've spent thousands and thousands on it. They put it on a dyno, got it tuned. They're cranking out 250 horsepower. In my opinion, good for them. Let them have fun. My 180 horsepower MX6 will be able to keep up depending on the track conditions nonetheless. But back to the safety side of things, we had a guy show up to Fall Nationals a few years ago. I do believe it was my rookie season, and he was from a speedway in Quebec somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. He was wearing it was a snowmobile suit, Mike, and a dirt bike helmet.
It was like a construction overall orange jumpsuit sort of thing, if I remember.
Yeah, and no Hans device, no containment seat. I don't even know what he had in it for belts, but we spend a lot of money on safety. I know we all do. Like this year, I've got to put a new set of belts in my car. That's going to be about $150, $200. I've been looking into a new fire suit. Unfortunately, that won't happen this year, but that would be another $1,500. You get into the Hans device, the helmet, the seats, everything like that. You put the money in the safety, so you know that if you flip like you did, Clayton, or if you smack that wall off at turn 4 going mock chicken, and you know it's going to hurt, but at least you know you have a better chance of not being injured and being able to climb out of that car and go back to the pit area and hug your wife, hug your kids, whatever it may be. And it's not fair to the guys who have spent thousands on safety when you have a guy show up with a shoddy roll cage, basically a glorified enduro car, and trying to go out there with us. I personally, if he was to get in a wreck, for example, and I T-boned him or I hit him really hard the wrong way and he was to get hurt, I personally know it's part of racing. We all accept that risk when we strap in that car and pull those belts tight. But nobody wants to see anybody hurt out there. And that's where this council is going to come into play, because the driver council will be able to get together. I'll be able to go to Tyson, Terry, Jamie, all them, and say, hey guys, there's this car from wherever. And the car, I don't believe, is safe. At that point, we're not allowed to go into the pit stall. We're not allowed to look under the hood. We're not allowed to go into the trailer, whatever it may be. We would then go to an official at the track and say, hey, you might want to take a look at this and get into it, especially when it comes to the safety.
Yeah, safety is important, right? It's important everybody has it, but I'm more interested in the competitive side. You know, what's the rules about competition? You know what I mean? I think that's more interesting, because you said is like, I don't see how a committee is like. I was told that they aren't going to be tearing down motors. All right.
No.
So why do we have rules about what's inside of a motor if they're not even going to be tearing it down?
Now, it's, as a mechanic, I know this stuff. It's pretty easy to tell if somebody has aftermarket cams, aftermarket pistons, which are not allowed per the rule book, whatever it may be. And I'm going back to somebody I know. I'm not going to say any names, but I know that bottom end is not stock. To check that, all you really have to do to check the rods, to check the pistons, you either pull the oil pan off, which in some cases may take a little while because you have the subframe and whatever else in the way, the exhaust, but you could easily check the con rods by pulling the oil pan.
So they are tearing apart engines.
Not necessarily tearing apart, more so simple checks. Like, honestly, I could see them checking pistons as simple as pulling a spark plug and putting a borescope camera down it. I know I'm probably talking Chinese to some of the listeners.
Okay, so when you say you can tell a car has something like that, how can, like, I'm sorry, Colin, but I'm calling BS on that. I don't think you can tell that every single car exactly what they have. You know, if you're a quiet guy like Matt Bull, okay, awesome guy. I'm not calling out Matt. I'm not saying he's doing anything, but if he's a quiet guy, he just has good nights. I don't know. I don't think you can know what's underneath his hood. You know what I mean?
It's pretty easy to tell with the pistons, Clayton, and I know you're a mechanic as well. All you really have to do is go on to Rock Auto or into your part source app or whatever your new O'Reilly's app is in your phone and type in a stock piston for, let's say, a Mazda MX-6. You'll see the options in this.
Yeah, you're not getting my point, man. You're not getting my point.
Nonetheless,
you're saying you can magically see or know what somebody has under the car by just what? By just looking up on part source?
Is what I'm getting at.
But what are you
Have to
checking?
check it.
Like, are you taking their car into the tech area and you're tearing apart everything? Because there's rules that involve everything to do with the motor. All right. And you can't tell me that you know everything just by looking at it from the outside. You literally have to take everything apart. So my point is, why do we have rules that we are not going to check?
I think what the way it was explained to me
If
was,
that makes sense.
yeah, I think the way it was explained to me was the, like, as far as like nothing changing. If I thought Colin was doing something illegal and I knew exactly what the part was, and you want to go through that whole protest process, the committee would be there to tell the track what is allowed and what isn't allowed. And then you would have to like be like, it's this exact part. Because Paul said to me that if you want to protest someone, you get to pick one thing. So like if I would have to know exactly what you're doing that's cheating. And then you basically are betting $1,000 to
See, that's where me and you were talking about it, Mike. I just feel like some people in the pits, they don't have that $1,000 to even try to protest. Like, you know what I mean?
If you are right, you get it back.
I get that. You know, it's just like I said, you could be that quiet guy in the corner. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Quiet guy in the corner. I guess that's the way to go, really. You know?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I just don't know how else you would, like, the only other.
I heard the other part, like you call it the Scorta rules. Isn't it the SCDRA rules or something like that?
Yeah, that's what like CJ Levere from.
See, I think that's a really good way to go because it takes away all of this. It takes away everything. There's no question. Now, I guess the debate is people will put in tons and tons of money into a car. But then I look at it and say, if you're going to be putting tons and tons of money into a car for what, a couple $100 prize, like, go for it. You know what I mean? Like we're all just a bunch of rednecks. Like, as I say, you know, racing out there for fun, you know, if you want to put that much money into it, good. But I feel like it would take away a lot of the drama. And then there's just different classes too. Like I almost like the idea of Brighton having like, you know, like a slower class and a faster series, you know, but a car count's also important. There's just a bunch of variables I'm still thinking on, but right now it's just, I know like not everybody agrees, but I think having a SCDR rule or whatever that term is would be the best way to go.
Yeah. And well, CJ's, he was really, I really like talking to him because I only heard people arguing against that rule. Whereas I understand for Mohawk where they're like physically located, the tracks all around them have different rules. And the only 2 tracks that were the same as us, and not a lot of us guys go down there. So for them, I know they want to change it so they can bring cars from east, west, south tracks from where they are. And
yeah,
CJ
100%.
said too, he's like, I fully get why people don't want it. I understand both sides because like you just said, then it's just an unlimited game of who, like, you can go, like, you know what I mean? Like the sky is the limit as far as what you can do with those guys. As far as
but like that goes before, they all wreck the same. You know, if you want to put in like $50,000 into a car, it could still wreck, and you lost that money. It's like if you're still getting that in today's game, even with these rules, you know, people are still putting money where other people aren't. You know what I mean? So it's just my opinion.
Yeah, and like I said, when I first like heard that Mohawk was doing that, I completely misunderstood why they were doing it, and I thought that was ridiculous. And then after talking to CJ, it's like, okay, I understand your side. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to hear everyone's different opinions on why they think. And I also understand the other way too, of like, okay, well, this is not reasonable now to race in this class because I'm not.
It's also like these cars aren't built from factory to be on a racetrack. You know what I mean? So all these rules are judgment rules. People made these rules like for weight wise, you know, pretty much, you know, but it's making an even playing field because there's every car out there is different horsepower. Some cars have more horsepower than others, right? They're not built from factory to be all equal.
No, and that's what I find. I've said this to other people. I've said this to my dad. Like, that's the kind of the tricky thing about our classes. Obviously, you can have more expensive motors and stuff, but the other classes, maybe besides Pro Stock, I'm not really sure, but they're all running the same chassis, the same size motor. Like, you're kind of out there with other cars the same, whereas because of our class, it's every car is like wildly different. Like You know what I mean? Like you got V6s, 4 cylinders, VTECs, Ecotechs. You got like all different types of suspension setups. Like everything's like that's why the track was saying that for teching our class is so difficult because they're not looking at the same thing all the time.
That's just it. So why not just make it open rule book as CDR? So it just takes away all that question away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they have
make it. You need rules, obviously, like simple rules. Obviously, no V8 superchargers. Wheelbase, fuel. It's just stuff you can easily check. You know what I mean? Like so when you have those easy checks, you can almost have a tech barn where you can almost like tech for 10, 15 minutes and just do the easy checks. You know what I mean? And then everything else, there's no question because it's just that's what that's how the rule book is.
So I have a question for you. This is I'm actually just like staying neutral in this as I always try to do because I don't.
100%.
But like, so do you think that we would lose over half the drivers we currently have if that happened?
No.
Do you think that a lot of guys
because no offense, that's what we have right now. Everybody knows Brockville never teched. Everybody knows that, and that's what we have right now. That's when everybody knows a track doesn't tech. To me, that sounds like open rule book.
Yeah, so I think that was partially the idea too of why that we wanted to get together with Paul was to try to prevent what you just said. Because I've heard that too. People like, well, you race at Brockville, so who cares? Do whatever you want. Like we don't want like that. It looks bad.
But look what we just had this last season. We had all these different winners. So that's just my argument about that. So it's like we're trying to fix something, but we had arguably one of probably the most competitive seasons ever. You know what I
mean? And like I don't think it was trying to fix. Like we weren't trying to change the way it was running. I think we were trying to change I don't know what the word is, like the outlook from outsiders of just being like.
Well, from my understanding is that there was a meeting at Paul's house, right? And 5 or 6 drivers. I was told by somebody that my name was brought up more than 10 times. I just want to say it would have been nice if I was there to defend myself. Like I have an opinion too. I have a race car. If my name, obviously I think I'm a big part of this. As of every other driver, it's just I'm just a little frustrated. That's all I could say.
Sure.
But it is just racing, and I am having fun. It's just looking at the future.
There was a lot of like almost every driver was brought up. I don't think like anything was. Like I was there. I don't think anyone was ever, and like at no point were we like, was any, I really didn't say much. I was there to listen, but no one was really pointing fingers or blaming people or anything like that. It actually, in like the 5 or 6 guys that went there was actually it actually felt pretty like everyone agreed on everything. Or like, you know what I mean? There was no like animosity or, well, this guy's doing that, or like, it wasn't like that at all for sure. I could say that.
Well, that could be arguably about who was there, right? I don't know who picked these people to go. Maybe they're all in the same, mindset.
Well, I think too, it was pretty even where it was someone was kind of taken out of every little group, or how you want to say, like where they park or whatever.
Yeah, but who picked those people?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so like, I think Jamie LaRock originally was the one talking to Paul about getting a meeting together. And then like, I think whether it was Jamie or whatever, like he got like Jared from your corner. He invited the Bulls. They weren't able to
see. Like another thing is like that K24, the engine swaps, right? Like it's it would have been. I don't know. I guess Matt has a Honda, but
Matt
Bull and Matt Bond too, But
are you talking about as far as the committee goes?
No, like the K swap rule too, because I guess that was brought up there too. I don't know.
Yeah, we just explained it to Paul, and he just said like, basically like you guys can decide, but he didn't like. I don't think he like fully is like he says like I don't know much about Honda. I don't know what a K series is. I don't understand what this rule like. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't really understand what. Like,
see, that's another important topic for me too, because that affects me too. Because let's say if this motor swap was allowed, that would help me save money in the long term, like big time. You know what I mean? And it's just obviously it would help in horsepower too, because the K series are getting more horsepower from factory than B series. So I think it would help a lot of Honda guys. And when we had that vote on the chat. From my perspective, I'm not saying it was for everybody, but I'm just saying if it was mine, and most likely if I had this thought, maybe other people did too, I thought that chat was more of a Cornwall thing. And I know we all had a vote. I just think if we had a revote, I don't know. I would feel more comfortable. Maybe other people would want to revote too. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one thinking that. But I have talked to other drivers, and even though there was a vote, I think it said I was told there was only one person who voted for the motor swap at Brockville, and that would be me. But I've talked to other drivers, and they actually changed their mind. You know what I mean? I thought, maybe people thought Brockville would have their own separate vote. I don't know. It's definitely a subject to talk about.
Yeah.
And
yeah, like I said, for sure.
I'm just passionate about it because it would save me thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? So it's like, of course, I'm going to bring it up. You know what I mean? So
yeah, like I said, that's
Now, you get to a guy like me, honestly, when this whole K swap thing started, I personally was like, okay, I don't like it. But after talking with a couple of Honda guys and everything like that, honestly, the B series, the H series, whatever series it may be, back in the 90s, we got to remember, we've got 30-year-old cars out here. My Mazda, I can't find a KLD, KLZE, KLG4 anywhere. I have two motors that run right now. I have one sitting in the shop being rebuilt, for lack of a better term. If I go out there and I blow a motor on night one, okay, swap the other motor in, blow it on night two, piece the motor together, put it in, night three, okay, then what? I'm not going to be able to find anything. And for the Honda guys, that is definitely a good alternative in my eyes. But honestly, going back to the whole rules thing, the tech thing, I know it would be really, really hard to find somebody who knows a Mazda, who knows a Honda, who knows a Cavalier, who knows a Mazda 3 hatchback, who knows a Celica. Like, just having somebody who, if you could find somebody like that, like maybe an old driver, an old crew chief, and have somebody who can do an easy check, like check for adjustable cam gears or check for aftermarket cams, aftermarket intakes. And I know we're about headers now, but
I think that was the whole
just
idea of having the 6 guys, so that between the 6 of them, there shouldn't be a car out there that they don't know.
But going to like something like what Cornwall does is where they're at least checking. I know they're Adrian Black, for example. Unfortunately, he was caught only running 3 brake calipers. I know there's quite a few guys who were doing that. He had an amazing finish. He did end up going into tech, and they disqualified him for not having all 4 brakes working. You technically only need the 3, but nonetheless, like just checking something easy to make sure that drivers, in a sense, aren't trying to, I don't want to say cheat, but make sure that the cars are per the rule book, and at least just something general like brake calipers is perfect. You can check and make sure that they're all on, they're all hooked up, make sure the flex lines are in there, make sure that the pistons aren't seized, nothing's pushed back, you're not missing a brake drum, you're not missing any of that stuff. Like, that is what I would like to see, is reel us in a little bit, because back in the days of Ron Day and Joe McNichols and Colin Tracy and all them, you drag a car out of the junkyard for $200-300. You'd throw a roll cage in it, throw a seat in it, and you'd go. You'd have fun. Now they're getting so much more like, I don't want to say like a pro stock in a sense, but we're developing the cars. And we were running back in the Ron Day times at, I think it was like 22, 23 second lap times. We're down into the high 17s now at Brockville. And you just know there's guys who have taken things within the rule book, of course, and been able to develop things. I know working with Jared Galway for the 6-7 years that I did, sorry to throw the 6-7 joke, but nonetheless, the amount of development that Jared and I came up with, the ideas that I had, the ideas that he had, to be able to take this Cavalier running 21 second lap times and make it run low 17s now, it took quite a bit. There was a lot of suspension stuff that was done, a lot of engine stuff that was done, mix and matching parts, X, Y, Z, to make this car go faster. And my point, like I just said, I would like to see some form of tech that is general in a sense.
Yeah, like I'm sure Cornwall has like a checklist. It's like they're not tearing motors apart every night, but I'm sure they do. Like, I've never finished top 3 at any other track. So I've never, I'm sorry, I got teched at Brighton, but besides that, like I've never been through Mohawk. I know the top three have to go into a tech barn, same as Cornwall. Like I don't know what they check, but obviously they're checking something and they are looking, but they're not doing like what Clay was saying, like the full extent of like, they're not tearing stuff apart.
No,
As far as I
we
know.
would be.
And like realistically, do you think Brockville's going to actually tear a motor? Like I swear,
No,
like I don't think
No.
that's going to happen. So I don't get what.
Sorry, Clay. The furthest I've seen Brockville go was in Jared's championship year. I think it was the third to last race. It was Hayden or Max, somebody, Jamie with his MX6. So there were two Mazda MX6 V6s in there and the Cavalier. And one of the officials, I forget exactly who it was, said to me, as I'm taking the valve cover off Jared's car to check the cam gears to make sure they're not adjustable per the rule book, because they have the V6s in there, all it is like 6 or 10 mil bolts, and you have the timing cover off the Mazdas, and you can see the cam gears, the timing belt, everything. With the Cavalier, it's a dual overhead cam, so you have to pull the valve cover to check it. And the official looks at me, he's like, why are you taking the valve cover and spark plugs off? I said, dude, it's a 4-cylinder. Like, well, you got these other cars back here, it's just a couple bolts. All right, fine. That official was watching me the entire time as I'm taking the coil pack off, as I'm taking the valve cover off, making sure that I'm not playing with anything. Like, that's his job. It's perfect. He has every right to be watching me like a hawk in a tech burn. But just like I said, the discrepancy of that to check something simple, it'd be really nice to have a guy who, like I said, was a former driver, a former crew member, somebody who's been in the aftermarket car world for a while, to be able to go and look at these cars and make sure we're within the rule book, within reason, like not tearing heads off a motor, not.
Yeah. Well, that's not like, you can't do that every week.
No, we'd be there till 3, 4, 5 in the morning. It was my point to pull the timing cover off that Cavalier, because you basically got to pull the whole right side of the car apart to get at it.
Yeah. So yeah, no, like I said, that's the good points. And like I said, I've heard lots of good arguments for both sides. And I think that's what, like I said, trying to do this, that way you can kind of see what other people think, or maybe like ideas why and stuff like that. But like I said, I think going forward, we should probably all come together and decide something for sure. Because don't need to make it.
That's just it. I've always said you'll never have two drivers that agree on everything. No. So that's the difficult part.
Yeah.
The amount of arguments that Clayton and I have had, especially when this whole K-Series thing started, like I said, I was dead set against it. But
bottom line is this: you have one car that has that motor. Why can't another car, even if it's a different chassis, run it? It just that part to me doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Going back to what Jamie LaRock has said to me at one point, if we had a rule that would allow us to take a K-Series engine and swap it into an MX-6, I know it's been done before, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
because I know that K-Series comes with somewhere in the neighborhood of 200, 210 horsepower right in the box from factory. Now, keep in mind, some of these motors we're swapping in, they're coming out of the junkyard, they're wore out, they're tired, they need a rebuild, X, Y, Z. But the cost versus the amount of power that you get, it's a very cheap option for the Honda guys, and I do like that for them, but I don't like it in the sense that I've got an MX-6. There is no other motor that I am aware of that is a Mazda generationally correct engine that would be a direct bolt-in to the KL series motors. Like, the only one I can think of is maybe a 3-liter out of a Mazda Tribute. Of course, being 3 liters our biggest displacement we're allowed. But my option with that, I'd be spending $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 just to be able to get that in there and working. And I don't even know if the power would work, because I haven't done enough research into it. And you got guys like Galway who have the Cavalier. There is no other option other than the Ecotec to throw into that car. You've got,
but that's really not the rule. Is more just for the K series. It wasn't.
Yes, and it's beneficial in that sense, like I've said to you before, Clayton, for the Honda and Acura guys. But when it comes down to it, it kind of, that is why I was against
So
it.
basically, it just sounds like, just because the majority of the field isn't Honda guys, it's just that's what it
Now
comes
the
down to.
majority of the field is Acura and Honda and whatever it may be.
That's what I mean. I think if the Acura and Honda guys really thought about it, if there was a revote, like I said, the numbers would. I bet there'd be more than one vote.
I could be wrong here, and someone can correct me if I am wrong, but someone has told me that the motors that K Series come in would be like the RSX and the newer, or the like Civics like Max Steel has. What I was told was those are obviously the best motors, the K Series, the K24s. However, the chassis that they come in are very difficult to set up to turn. So
see, me and Colin have talked about this. I think that's a judgment thing. I don't like until, even if you had somebody who's raced both those cars, it depends how their driving style is. I think that's a very judgment thing to say, where horsepower wise, that's an actual fact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm just saying what I was told, because like I don't know much about this, but
I've heard that too before.
Okay, they're saying that they're very difficult.
Colin brought it up
to set up, so therefore that's almost the only equalizer with using a case like the way that it is now. Like,
well, it seemed like Jamie and Max got their car handling pretty good there, right?
Yeah, Max has definitely came a long way, and I'm not saying that they don't work. I'm just saying that I've heard that with the other cars that have like I say like my car handles great. If you put a K Series into that car and gave it more horsepower, it would you know what I'm saying? Like and again, I don't know this. I've driven two cars ever in my life. So I don't know anything about setting up cars and stuff like that, but that's just what was told to me.
And another thing is that the Cornwall guys, they always seem to be a bit faster than us. You know what I mean? And every time they come down for a Brockville event, they always win. You know what I mean? And I just think this is another step that gives them the advantage of being a bit faster, So it's just questions is Brockville going to let them race? I hope they do, because I always want car count. You know what I mean? Even if it's a weight penalty. Like if they did the K swaps, just put a weight penalty on it, maybe. You know what I mean?
That was brought up at Paul's house, yeah.
I would be totally okay with that too. Like, I think that would be fair enough, like 2,800 pounds. I don't know. You might have to adjust that number as it goes, right? Obviously you got to see the results. If there's a car out there that's just dominating, right? Obviously there's something wrong,
Yeah.
Now, to change the subject here, Mike and Clayton and we all do the Northeast iRacing League, and I wanted to touch on this, of course, because I've got partial ownership of that, or whatever it may be, or I helped run it.
Is Sandra still there?
Yeah.
I had a quick
all right.
Yeah.
Just see if you're not falling asleep.
We've got this mini stock series starting on the iRacing here toward the middle of February, I do believe it is. And there's going to be a little mini series within the whole iRacing 4-race series we're going to have with the Brockville only drivers. Potentially reward for the winner of that. What do you boys think about that? Specifically, Mike, for just having that chance as an actual mini stock driver from Brockville being eligible for this little, I guess I don't want to call it a dash for cash sort of thing, but it's going to be fun in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. David, he had messaged me the day before he put that on, and he was, saying that he listened to the podcast and he thought that, it's really good to hear from the mini stock drivers, and he kind of put this on for us. And I think it's really cool, especially because when we do I last year I did more. This year I haven't done any yet. I kind of got out of the loop of that series, but I think it's really cool too. And that's one way to take the cars out of it for sure, as a part of the equation of who's faster or anything. But like I said, I think it's really cool, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I think, I don't know, when we go out there too, some of the guys that we normally run with are really good at iRacing, and they run dirt modifieds all the time in real life and in the game. And I know me, my biggest worry playing it prior to this was just, please don't wreck some super high up modified driver that I'm gonna piss off and carry over to see him at the track and be like, oh hey, sorry. I think it's really cool just having like a little 4 race thing for the mini stock guys. That's really neat. And I really appreciate David putting that on, and you or whoever was in charge of that.
It was more so David that had the idea to start that. Of course, I basically, as David said, kept the lights on while he was away. But my personal opinion of it is going to be great. I'm stepping more so away from the commentating side of things. It was really, really fun to do. I got to call alongside Robert Hill, Jim Bordon, all those guys. Like, it was absolutely amazing to be able to get that experience. But
yeah, that was really cool.
Jumping into the drive,
watching back like the YouTube videos.
Yeah, jumping into the driver's seat is going to be really, really good. I know personally, I've been spending a lot of time in the simulator, working on practicing for that little 4-race series. Just as much goes into it time-wise in the winter, I guess, when we're not wrenching on race cars in the simulator. My little brother Jordan, for example, he's going to be doing this series as well. He's just a newcomer, and I know Clayton, him and I, we were doing a little practice race that I put up at USA, and Clayton and I were running pretty close to identical lap times in that event. I just know that having that race within the race is going to just make it even more fun, especially when you're eligible for that little bit of a bonus at the end of the season.
Colin, do you find it very hard to like? I was doing a race online the other day, and I was in the practice and the qualifying. Like, I was setting down really good laps, and I was right at the front of the pack. But I find it so hard to pass in that game with the cars are all like exactly the same. And even if you are running a little bit faster than someone, you got to change your lineup to try to get around them. And it's like, I find it like extremely hard to move up in that, in the mini stocks and iRacing.
It is extremely hard to pass, but like you said, in the simulator, the cars are obviously all equal. They're all rear wheel drive Ford Mustangs or whatever the heck they are. And I can say also, going into a different class, the C-Fix trucks. I recently got my C-Class in Oval, and I've been racing with Clayton. And even in that, it's really, really hard to pass. Because even, I don't want to compare asphalt to dirt here, but like you said, you really got to change your line. You really got to drive it in deeper. You got to come off the corner different. You got to save your tires on asphalt. With the dirt, the track is always changing every single corner. You don't know what it's going to do. You go into the corner one lap, it's going to be ripped down on the bottom of 1 and 2. The next lap, it's not going to turn at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it is a lot more difficult to be able to pull off those passes and make those moves with the cars being essentially equal.
Yeah, and I find in real life too, you can kind of like find another line that works that's fast, like go to the high side. Maybe you can send it in a little faster than the guy running the bottom. But I don't know why, in iRacing, I have a really hard time changing it. Then like you go up high and it really doesn't work. And then, you know what I mean? It's just, I find it a lot different than like racing at Brockville, I find anyway.
Oh, it's 100% different, totally different animal. But it definitely, like I said earlier, it does help with your racecraft. It does help with judging when you can make a move and when you can't, how to play the restart games that we all do. I know Clayton does a lot of the iRacing. I kind of want to hear what he thinks about this whole series thing that's going to happen.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that. Yeah, I've been playing off and on iRacing for over 10 years. I was on it when it first came out. I was just really into racing when it came out. I was really hooked because it makes any other racing game kind of arcadish in my opinion. And yeah, I'm excited for it. And I thought, yeah, it helped me out, you know, in racecraft a bit, you know. I just think also too, because you always get a reset on your car there, that you drive your car a bit more aggressive online, right? Yeah. And
a little cheaper to fix.
Yeah, you don't have to fix it.
That's right.
Do you have any more questions, Sandra?
I don't. That is all I've got. So I don't want to hold you guys up anymore. I think we covered a lot, which is great, and I appreciate both of you taking the time. I was like, what the hell?
All right.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Right, was a pleasure to be able to talk to me. Sandra and Mike, I definitely appreciate the opportunity, and it was great to cover some things and share my thoughts on a bunch of stuff and answer some questions, give a little more in-depth look to both the Pine Tree guys. And
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I always love watching or hearing your podcast. I'm always refreshing the page, waiting for the thing to come out. And I like to say I just got a new partnership today with Erin Perry. She's a realtor out in this area, and I just wanted to give her a quick shout out.
Yeah,
nice. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
thanks.
It's funny too because we record these, and I'm like, hey, like I'll post it tomorrow. And as soon as we like hang up and stop talking, Mike's like, so is it posted? It's like,
yeah,
okay.
I'm actually not gonna lie. I have my phone next to me here, and I've had Matt Nichols, John LaMarche, and a bunch of guys. Hey, you guys done recording so we can listen to this yet? Like,
yeah, no, that's awesome because, like I say, the feedback's been great, and it just keeps rolling. So every podcast gets better and better.
I'm sure we'll have you guys back on again as the season gets rolling.
you guys don't want me on here.
Welcome anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Well, thank you everybody again. That is the wrap on episode number 9 already. So, all right, Mike, you got anything else?
That's it.
All right. Thank you again, guys. Adios.